Tell us what the atmosphere is like there in a country which has seen its first recession in car sales in 2018 in over a decade.
Good morning. Well, first of all, it's noisy at the Shanghai show. It's very exciting and very buzzy, as it always is. From our perspective, I think we look at the market in two different ways. If you look at the luxury sector, it's behaved quite differently to the rest of the Chinese market. So Bentley was up 19% last year, despite some of that slowdown that we saw elsewhere in the car market. And this year, if we look at just our business, order books are full, our stock levels are very low, and we have a lot of launches coming, so we can see good growth for 2019 in China for our company.
Adrian, will that growth be enough to lift you out of the deficit? I think that you were the worst performer in the VW group. In fact, the only mark which made a loss, if I'm not mistaken, there. So is it going to be enough for you to turn that around?
Not China on its own, but with all of the other steps we've taken, yes. I mean, last year was a challenge for the company. We spent a lot of money on new product launches, some of which were delayed, but now we're through that process and we're back in the growth phase. And I think you'll see already from the first quarter results and throughout this year, we've turned the corner and we're back on track. So China will be a big help in that turnaround, but we're already well underway.
Has Brexit had any impact, and talk of Brexit at least, because we've not got it yet, with the business?
No, none whatsoever from an operational day-to-day point of view. Clearly, operational continuity is number one priority for us. So we have made sure that we have more stocks of all the vital components. We've gone from 2 days just-in-time stock up to 5 to 10 days, depending on the components. So we can deal with the disruption of a no-deal Brexit. But of course, like most businesses that rely heavily on Europe for components and for some skills and free trade, then we do hope that there's a credible deal done in the not-too-distant future. But Brexit, so far, no direct impact.
Adrian, we've also, of course, got what's happening in terms of the US-China trade dispute and tariffs there moving into Europe autos as well. What sort of impact is that potentially having on your business?
Again, because nothing has actually happened, there's no direct impact. Of course, we've looked at the scenarios. We've looked at the worst case, the best case, and we've looked at what it could mean. And again, from our perspective, I don't want to comment on the likelihood of tariffs being applied or not being applied. Just to say that as a company, we're 100 years old this year. We've been through a lot worse than Brexit or a US-China or US-Europe tariff situation, and we'll get through those as well. So I don't want to sound blasé, but in the grand scheme of things, we've done the scenarios, we know what the worst case could be, and we can see a way through all of the above.
I was going to say congratulations on the 100 years. As you look back and you look forward, I guess what has been some of your major achievements, and what are you hoping for the next 100? Well,
I think the brand was founded on some very basic principles of building cars that were faster than any sports car in the world, but also as comfortable and as refined and as long distance credible as any tourer. So Bentley has started the grand touring trend back in the early 1900s, and for the next 100 years we still see the same demand, the same kind of need for freedom, continent munching pace. But of course, with electric powertrains or hybrid powertrains, that will take on a completely different guise. And we're ready for that next revolution in powertrains, and we think it fits perfectly with the Bentley brand. Quiet, high performance, long distance capability. The Bentley Hybrid is the first electrified luxury product in the world, and every one of our nameplates within the next 4 years, we've already committed, will have plug-in hybrid as an option alongside the conventional powertrains.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm going to get to actually a little bit, Adrian. Conventional powertrains, hybrid, and eventually electric. For a marque like Bentley, the steps may well be very gradual. Is there a Bentley customer who perhaps would be a bit more sclerotic, a bit more resistant to change, a traditionalist who perhaps would take it slower and it's a bit more of a leap to go to an electric vehicle?
Exactly, but this is why we've made it very clear that our approach is going to be flexible and customer driven. So we'll make all the options available, and it's up to customers to make their choice. There's certainly some traditional customers that will want the last ever W12 engine or the last ever 6.75 litre V8 from the Mulsanne. But there's also another group of customers that are yearning for cleaner and different technologies. And that's something which Bentley, as being part of a strong and powerful group, are well positioned to actually bring to the market. And that's what we'll do. We'll cater to all needs.
Let's also just have a look at one other aspect of this. China's a very important market, as you were saying earlier. Are there some things that you have to do for a potential customer in China that you wouldn't be doing in, let's say, the United States or Europe?
No, not from a customer service point of view, although there are very differences, big differences in the way our customers expect to be treated, even in England, across the whole of the country. But no, I think the Chinese market is different in a couple of ways. I mean, first of all, if you take the Mulsanne that's right beside me, in Europe and the US we sell Mulsanne, and they're all what we call the standard wheelbase. Almost every Mulsanne that we sell in China is a long wheelbase version, with lots of features in the rear, just like the Centenary model that we have alongside us. And as we look to the future, we can see that rear entertainment, that rear space orientation as being a constant theme in future models. But effectively, the core of our range works in China equally as well as the rest of the world. But then you start to look at colours and trims and personalisation, which we do for any customer. The style of that, the nature of it, is quite different in China. But I wouldn't go into individual specifications of individual customers, but we meet them all.
Adrian, what other growth markets are you seeing? Obviously, luxury very, very big in China, and that's why you are in Shanghai. But are there any potential areas that you're seeing growth that you perhaps were surprised by?
To be honest, and I don't want to sound complacent, but no, Bentley's already very well globalized. We're about 20% of our global business is here in China. About a quarter of it is in Europe, 22% is in the US, and then the Middle East and South Asia, the rest, and then the UK, of course, we have a huge market. So we're pretty much 20% split across 5 key regions. We've already globalized over about the last 20 years, and what we're seeing is strong growth effectively in all markets. So there's no one country or one particular city that's booming beyond recognition. It's steady growth all across the world. We have a great dealer network. We're in about 90 countries plus at the moment, and growing about 15% of our distribution base in China alone this year. So we see both the model launches, the powertrain launches, and more systematic growth in China from a dealer coverage point of view as being the levers for growth for us for the next 12 to 72 months, actually.
Adrian, a very quick last question. You say long wheelbase models are very popular there in China, which would, of course, then naturally mean that autonomous driving, when it actually does prove to be safe and viable entirely, will be huge for you. Where are you with that?
Well, again, I have two answers to this. If I talk to our customers, which we do on a regular basis, and especially our Chinese customers, they want to be the last ones in an autonomous car. The last ones to have to go into an autonomous car. They buy our products because they want to drive them. But of course, again, because we're part of a group that has access and is investing in that technology at the cutting edge, we will have availability of all of those leading technologies, just like we do for existing ones in our current cars, right ahead of the industry curve. So we will introduce autonomous capability in addition to what we already have in driver assistance systems in the next 3 to 5 years. But as you quite rightly say, the safety and regulatory aspects of this still need to be resolved. It will be possible in confined, defined areas, but we don't see complete open road autonomous driving in all conditions being predominant for many, many years to come. But when it does, we'll be ready.